The universe doesn't warn you before your life changes. It doesn't arrive with fanfare or explanation. It comes disguised as restlessness, as endings you didn't choose, as a hollowing out so deep even your own name echoes strangely in your chest. You wake up and realize you no longer recognize the life you built. The mirror still shows your face, but behind your eyes something ancient is stirring. A silence louder than words. A pause before something vast. What you once chased no longer calls to you. What once held you now feels like a costume. And beneath the unraveling, beneath the questions, the ache, the not knowing, is not your failure. It's your becoming. This isn't your breakdown, it's your breakthrough, disguised as uncertainty. This moment, this strange stillness you're in, it's not confusion, it's initiation. You are standing at the doorway of your next becoming, and the key will not be handed to your intellect. It will arrive through sensation, synchronicity, sorrow, and soul. So if you've been asking, why does everything feel like it's falling apart? Why do I feel more lost the more I try to hold on? Why am I aching for something I can't name? Then hear this. The ache is sacred. The disorientation is not your punishment, it is your portal. Your ego is dissolving, your old story is unthreading, and your soul, quietly, patiently, is beginning to speak. If these words already stir something quiet and ancient inside you, pause for just a moment to like this video, comment below, and subscribe to the channel. That single gesture tells the algorithm what your soul already knows. This message matters. Now, let us begin. 7 signs. Not steps, not lessons, not advice, but sacred markers in the landscape of your becoming. These signs are not answers, they are mirrors. They will not make things easier. They will make things real, because the best chapter of your life doesn't start with clarity, it starts with collapse. And a quiet knowing that says, something old is dying, so that something truer can live. Sign 1. You feel everything falling apart, and yet something inside feels strangely calm. It begins in the unraveling, not with trumpets or triumph, but with the quiet collapse of everything you thought would last. The career that once made sense now feels like a cage. The relationship you clung to now echoes with absence. The goals you pursued with fire now taste of ash. And strangely, while the surface shatters, something deeper settles. You feel a calm that shouldn't be there. Not joy, not peace, but a strange, ancient stillness. As if something beneath the wreckage already knows, this was always coming. You're not breaking, you're birthing. The mask is slipping. The scaffolding of your identity, the shoulds, the titles, the inherited beliefs, can no longer hold the weight of who you're becoming. This is not failure. This is sacred demolition. The ego will scream, fix it, rebuild, go back. But the soul whispers, stay, watch, let it fall. Carl Jung called this the beginning of individuation, when the self begins to emerge from beneath the persona. But you don't need theory to know the truth. You can feel it, in your bones, in the way old dreams no longer move you, in the strange sensation that, despite the chaos, something is right. This falling apart is not the end. It's the sacred storm before the clearing. And in that clearing something waits. Not who you were, not even who you thought you'd become, but who you've always been. Beneath the noise. Sign 2. You feel disconnected from your past, and yet mysteriously drawn forward. You walk through places that once felt like home, and feel like a stranger. The conversations that once sparked something now echo hollow. The memories that used to comfort now feel like borrowed clothes. It's not that you've outgrown people, it's that you've outgrown the version of yourself that needed them. This is not rejection, it's release. The past is not wrong, it was holy. It brought you here, but now its thread no longer pulls you forward. What once rooted you now restricts you. The comfort now confines. And even though you don't know where you're going, you know you can't go back. This is the edge of the map. The place where old stories end and the new ones haven't yet begun. There is grief here. Don't skip it. Let it move through you like rain over dry ground. Mourning who you were is part of becoming who you are. You may try to return, to reignite old fires, but you'll find only smoke. The soul has moved on, and you're being summoned, not toward answers but toward presence. The unknown isn't a void, it's a womb, and right now you are in between. No longer who you were. Not yet who you are becoming. This is liminal space, sacred disconnection, the silence before the song. Don't panic. This isn't loss, it's alignment. And what's ahead? It's not more of the past. It's a new life that finally fits your soul. Sign 3. You begin to question everything you once called truth. The questions come slowly at first. Why am I doing this? Whose dream am I chasing? What if everything I believed was just survival? Then the dam breaks. You no longer trust the answers you used to live by. Success, status, belonging. You peel back the layers and find silence. A void, a deeper truth that doesn't speak in slogans or affirmations, but in the raw language of longing. This is not doubt, this is depth. You are not losing your way, you're finding it beneath the inherited maps. This is the disorientation that precedes awakening. The beliefs that held you up are melting, but they weren't real supports, just scaffolding around your becoming. Now the structure shakes, and you are left with only questions. This is sacred. Carl Jung said the first step toward wholeness is confrontation with the shadow, the parts of you exiled by culture, family, even your own self-protection. But this confrontation doesn't look dramatic. It looks like restlessness, like confusion, like the quiet, gnawing sense that something is missing. And here's the truth. You don't want more. You want meaning. You don't crave success. You crave self. You don't need to be fixed. You need to be found. The mind will panic. It wants certainty. But the soul doesn't speak in conclusions. It speaks in symbols. You're not here to return to comfort. You're here to remember. And remembering requires unlearning. Everything that kept you safe but small. Sign 4. Your intuition begins to whisper louder than logic. There comes a moment, subtle as breath, when your decisions are no longer dictated by reason, but resonance. You don't have the facts. You don't have the plan. But you know. You can't explain why you turn left instead of right. Why you say yes to the unexpected. Why a stranger's words echo like prophecy in your chest. This is the voice beneath voices. The knowing that comes not from thought, but from truth. It doesn't scream. It stirs. You were taught to silence it, to call it foolish, to defer to logic, to what's smart, to what others approve. But now the mind grows quiet. Not because it's weak, because it's no longer leading. You are listening differently. To the feeling in your gut when something's off. To the way your body softens in the presence of what's real. To the invisible alignment between synchronicities that only you can read. This is not superstition. This is soul literacy. Jung called it the self, the archetypal wholeness inside you. The compass that doesn't point north, but inward. And now, in the silence after collapse, you're learning to follow the signs you used to ignore. The dream that lingers like smoke. The repeated symbols in books, in songs, and strangers' stories. The feeling that something is coming, even when nothing outside has changed. You are no longer navigating life with your head. You are feeling your way forward, blind, perhaps, but not lost. Because you've remembered something the world tried to make you forget. The heart knows the way, long before the map is drawn. Sign 5. You crave solitude, but not to escape, to remember. You start pulling away. Not out of bitterness, not from fear, but from something deeper. A pull inward so strong even noise feels like betrayal. The conversations that once distracted now exhaust. The gatherings that once filled now deplete. Even your own reflection asks for stillness. You are not isolating, you are returning. There is something inside you, ancient, sacred, whole, and it can only be heard in the hush. This is not depression. This is incubation. The caterpillar doesn't mingle mid-metamorphosis. It disappears, not to die but to dissolve. And so must you. Jung spoke of the night sea journey, that inward descent into shadow, silence, and soul. Not because the world is wrong, but because your essence needs your full attention. Solitude is your sanctuary now. Not empty. Full of unspoken clarity, full of questions that birth new skin, full of the raw sound of your own becoming. You may not be able to explain it to others. Let that be okay. This chapter isn't about being understood. It's about understanding yourself. Let the world blur for a while. Let the opinions pass like clouds. You are not missing out. You are tuning in. The next version of you is gestating in silence, and solitude is the womb. So go gently, speak less, feel more. This is where the noise ends and the signal begins. Sign 6. What once held you now feels like a cage. The walls didn't change. You did. That job, that friendship, that routine, what once grounded you now suffocates. It's not because those things became worse. It's because you became wider. The container is cracking, and the soul is pressing outward. You feel it in your skin, that itch to move, to say no, to walk away without the usual apology. But you hesitate. Because the known is safe. Because comfort is addictive. Because you were taught that loyalty means staying even after you've stopped growing. Yet something inside keeps repeating, this doesn't fit anymore. And it's not drama. It's clarity. You're not mad. You're done. This is the tension before the leap, when the known becomes intolerable and the unknown becomes magnetic. Jung might call this the rupture of the persona, when the mask no longer hides the truth, and the truth no longer waits to be spoken. You can feel your soul rehearsing exit plans, even if you don't yet move. Even if you smile through clenched longing. Because you know. You can't evolve and stay the same. The cage might be gold, might be familiar, might even be full of love. But if it demands your dimming, it's not your home. And here's the sacred ache. To walk away might hurt, but to stay would be a slow extinction. So you begin to loosen the grip, to unhook the guilt, to whisper goodbye in the language of freedom. This isn't abandonment, it's alignment. And though your voice may tremble, your soul already said yes. Sign 7. You no longer chase purpose, it begins to pull you. There comes a moment, quiet as breath, when the chase ends. The striving, the proving, the desperate grasp for meaning in metrics and milestones. You stop running toward purpose because purpose has turned toward you. It doesn't shout, it beckons. Not with clarity, but with magnetism. You feel it as a hum beneath the surface of ordinary things. In conversations that leave you trembling. In ideas that wake you at 3 a.m. with tears you can't explain. In the sensation that you are being moved, not by will, but by something deeper. This is not ambition, it is alignment. You are no longer trying to become someone. You are remembering who you've always been. And what you came here to do is no longer a task. It is a truth that lives in your blood. Jung spoke of the archetype of the self, the totality of who we are and are becoming. And when the self awakens, it doesn't demand performance. It invites participation. Suddenly, everything becomes symbolic. The stranger's words feel written just for you. The obstacle feels like choreography. Even the pain begins to shimmer with meaning. You realize you're not waiting for purpose to appear. You're becoming the vessel through which it flows. There's nothing left to chase, only something sacred to allow. And while you may not yet know the name of this calling, you feel its weight, its pull. It's holiness. This is not motivation. This is remembrance. You didn't find your purpose. It found you. The moment you stopped pretending and started listening, now it lives behind your ribs, and it's already writing the next chapter in your voice. And now you see, it wasn't random. It wasn't failure. It wasn't a wrong turn or a life falling apart. It was a soul calling itself home. One sign, then another, and another. Each one whispering what the mind couldn't yet hear. You are not breaking. You are breaking open. The confusion was your compass. The collapse was your becoming. Everything you mistook as loss was actually preparation, not punishment, but passage. The unraveling, the silence, the ache, they weren't obstacles. They were invitations, initiations. Each time you questioned the life you built, a brick fell from the wall around your heart. Each time you let go of something that no longer fit, you grew new space for something real. Each time you chose solitude over performance, your soul reclaimed a piece of itself. This wasn't disorientation. It was orientation toward the self, the true self, the whole self, the buried, burning, sovereign self you were never meant to abandon. And now as you stand here, not on the other side, but in the middle of the storm's eye, you begin to understand. You never needed to be rescued. You only needed to be remembered. The signs weren't steps, they were mirrors. Each one reflecting the shedding of a skin that had grown too tight. You can feel it now, can't you? That strange serenity in the midst of all that is still unresolved. The breath between endings and beginnings. The knowing that, even if the path ahead is fog-covered, you trust your feet will find the ground. And that is the difference. You no longer need certainty to feel secure. You no longer need a destination to feel direction, because something has shifted. You are no longer waiting for life to begin. You are participating in it, fully, messily, honestly. This is the spiral of transformation, not a straight line upward, but a descent inward, then outward, then inward again. Each layer not a loop, but a deeper ring of remembrance. You return, not to the beginning, but to the soul of who you've always been. This time with eyes open, this time without apology, and with each breath you feel more whole. Not because everything makes sense, but because it no longer has to. You can be here now in the uncertainty and still feel grounded. You can hold the paradox of sadness and joy, of fear and freedom, of grief and gratitude. In the same heart, you are no longer divided against yourself. Even your shadow has become familiar. Not something to fight, but something to listen to. It no longer terrifies you to feel deeply, to want fully, to walk away when the soul says, no more. You've stopped trading your truth for belonging. You've stopped dimming your light to keep others comfortable. You've stopped sacrificing your peace for permission. You are no longer a stranger in your own life. The version of you that clung to certainty, that needed validation, that lived to be understood, has dissolved. And what rises in its place is softer, but stronger. Quieter, but clearer. Less visible, but far more real. This is the alchemy of awakening. It doesn't make you louder, it makes you honest. It doesn't make you fearless, it makes you courageous enough to walk forward with your fear beside you. It doesn't make your life easier. It makes your heart spacious enough to carry all of it. The breaking, the healing, the longing, the arriving, all of it. Because now you know, this is life. Not the curated version, not the filtered highlight reel, but the sacred, messy, gorgeous truth of being alive, fully, finally, alive. And when you begin to live from this place, something strange happens. You become magnetic. Not because you're trying, but because authenticity is irresistible. You begin to attract the people who see you, not the version you performed, but the you you've become in the fire. You find yourself speaking less, but saying more. Doing less, but being more. You stop reaching and start receiving. Not because you've mastered manifestation, but because you've stopped resisting what's real. You no longer chase alignment. You are alignment. Even on the days that hurt, even when you cry, even when you wonder if you've lost the thread again. Because now, you know, there is no thread. There's only this breath, this body, this truth, and you are living it, no longer from memory, no longer from programming, but from presence. This is clarity, not in the mind, but in the marrow. You know who you are, even when you can't explain it. You know what matters, even when it changes. You know what to let go of, even when it hurts. You are no longer waiting for the best chapter of your life to arrive. You are in it. Not because everything is perfect, but because you are present. Present enough to feel, present enough to follow, present enough to fall apart again, should life require it. Because now you trust yourself. You trust the spiral. You trust the unseen architecture of your own awakening. You've stopped asking, why is this happening to me? And started asking, what is this awakening in me? And with that question, everything changes. The pain no longer defines you. The past no longer imprisons you. The future no longer haunts you. You are here, alive, awake, becoming, not later. Now. The new chapter has already begun. You are not the person you were. That's why the old life no longer fits. You shed skin, you surrendered names, you stood barefoot in the ashes of all you thought would save you. And still, here you are, breathing, listening, remembering. Not because it was easy, not because you had the map, but because something eternal within you refused to stay asleep. You thought you were falling behind, but you were falling inward. You thought you were losing everything, but you were losing only what wasn't truly yours. The relationships, the routines, the roles that asked you to shrink, they were never your home. You thought the silence was emptiness, but now you know. It was spaciousness, room for your real life to finally begin. This isn't the end of your story. This is the moment your soul finally starts writing it. Not from habit, not from fear, but from alignment. There's no need to go back. There's nothing left to fix. You were never broken, only buried. And now, the soil has cracked, the roots have taken. The bloom is inevitable. Don't rush to explain it. Don't try to name it too soon. Some truths are too holy for language. Some awakenings arrive only in silence. Let this be what it is, a sacred threshold. No need to step boldly, just step honestly, step soulfully. You've earned your arrival, not because you performed, but because you stayed. You stayed through the fire. You stayed through the not knowing, you stayed through the ache, and now you are here, still becoming, still unfolding, still entirely worthy of what comes next. So trust the emptiness. It is sacred. Trust the ache. It is directional. Trust your life. It has never abandoned you. Your becoming has already begun. If this awakening found you right where you are, let it echo. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and in the comments, share what sign met your soul. Or simply write, "The new chapter has already begun." Your voice carries this work forward.